Russian channels not allowed to report about drone attack on Moscow.
Here's a summary of the article.
Russian television channels have been forbidden from reporting about the UAV attack on the city of Moscow. At the same time, the 10 o'clock newscast still reported about the UAV's attack. The topic of the UAV's attack was reported only in brief commentary by the Russian Defense Ministry, and Sergei Sobyanin, mayor of Moscow, who promised to help the residents. Regional TV channels were ordered not to highlight this topic in their newscasts, but the detailed reports of the attack remain on the Internet. The channels were allowed to show news pieces about the drone attack on occupied Crimea and demonstrate corresponding footage, which is why a lot of TV channels began their newscasts with the reports about the attack on Crimea. Sergei Aksyonov, the Kremlin-appointed puppet leader of Crimea, reported about a strike on a Russian ammunition storage point in the Junkoy district in occupied Crimea. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Russia has threatened Ukraine with harsh measures in response to recent attacks on Moscow and Russian-occupied Crimea.
This post received a score of 5,600, with an upvote ratio of 97%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Russia, where random exploding buildings and incompetence of trained staff is a better look than enemy activity.
Yeah, I remember their statements when their flagship was hit as well.
Caught fire in a terrible storm. Said storm was evidently entirely confined to within the ship.
Aurora borealis, at this time of year, at this time of day, in this part of the country, localized entirely within your kitchen?
Yes.
May I see it?
No.
Seymour, the house is on fire.
That's just the Northern Lights, mother.
Steamed hams Inc.
Why though? They usually screamed? Ukraine did this? What's different about this one?
They really don't like giving the Ukrainians agency as a legitimate opponent. If something actually hurts them, they'll blame anybody but them, because they can't afford to have the Ukrainians be viewed as a genuine threat in Moscow itself. What would that mean for their self-avowed strength if their little brother could do this kind of damage right in the capital?
Greater than thus, by a continuous shifting of rhetorical focus, the enemies are at the same time too strong and too weak. Fascist governments are condemned to lose wars because they are constitutionally incapable of objectively evaluating the force of the enemy. Umberto Eco.
How comforting to understand that fascism is self-defeating in the long run.
Any comfort gained from that knowledge melts when you consider the damage a cornered putty could do. He does have a large nuke pile, and still has plenty of obedient meat for the grinder.
At some point the adults are going to have to go in there and take away those nukes.
Yeah, Putin himself doesn't sit there and push the button. He might want to, but I think at that point the military, other government members would stop him. I'm sure most of them aren't too keen on trying to survive a nuclear holocaust. It happened before during the Cold War. Russian guy saved the world because he refused to launch nukes when ordered to do so. Spelling.
This is why attacking regimes like this is the answer, because as soon as they admit to weakness, they're a target. If NATO invaded Russia tomorrow, they'd deny it was even happening.
Mohammed Saeed al-Sahaf would have some pointers.
Baghdad Bob, a classic. There are no infidel invaders in Baghdad. But Bob, what about those US tanks visibly behind you right now? Yes, the celebration parade has started. A wonderful occasion for all Iraqis celebrating Saddam's presidency. Begins dancing.
Funny thing about the guy is he knew he was selling bullshit. But that was his actual job and he did it to the letter. I actually have respect for him for never breaking from his mandate even when it was blatantly obvious what he was reporting wasn't true at all.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.